Before time began, when the earth was still young and the gods were rulers of both the heavens and the underworld, the balance between light and dark was fragile. Among the ancient deities, few were as powerful as Helios, the sun god, and Ophion, the serpent god of the underworld. Both gods held dominion over forces beyond mortal comprehension. Helios, with his radiant light and warmth, and Ophion with his wisdom and mastery over the shadows beneath the earth. Their fates, forever linked by the heavens and the underworld, would one day be set ablaze by a mortal girl named Elara. Elara was born into a humble village on the coast, a place known for its gentle waves and rolling green hills. Her family, though not wealthy, was respected for their honest work as fishers and weavers. From a young age, Elara stood apart from her peers, her beauty as radiant as the sun itself. Her hair was a cascade of golden waves, her eyes bright like the clear morning sky, and her skin seemed to glow with an ethereal light. She was often seen wandering the beaches alone, her mind lost in thoughts of distant lands and the stars above. She spoke little, preferring the solitude of the cliffs where she could watch the sun set over the horizon, casting the world in shades of amber and violet. It was here that she first began to feel the presence of Helios, the god of the sun. Every evening, as the day faded and the light dimmed, she sensed a warmth beyond the sun's natural glow, a warmth that wrapped around her like a gentle embrace. Though she did not know it at the time, Helios had been watching her. The immortal god, who had ridden his chariot across the sky for millennia, found himself captivated by this mortal maiden who gazed at his domain with such reverence. Helios, from his fiery chariot, had seen many mortals come and go, but none had ever stirred his heart like Elara. For centuries, his existence had been one of duty and indifference, his only purpose to guide the sun across the sky. But now, he longed for more. He longed for her. One evening, as the sky turned to dusk, Helios made his decision. He descended from his chariot in the form of a handsome man, his golden hair gleaming in the fading light, his skin radiating warmth like the sun itself. He approached Elara by the cliffs, his presence so sudden and magnificent that she could only stare, awestruck. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice trembling, though not from fear. "I am Helios, Lord of the Sun," he replied, his voice soft and reassuring. "I have watched you from the sky, and I could not stay away any longer." Elara, though stunned by the revelation, felt an immediate connection to him. His presence was warm and comforting, and she found herself drawn to him in ways she could not explain. As the days passed, Helios would visit her often, always in his mortal guise. Their love blossomed beneath the golden sun, and Elara knew her heart belonged to him. Deep beneath the earth, far from the warmth of the sun, Ophion, the serpent god, ruled the dark places of the world. Ophion was one of the oldest gods, his power vast and terrifying. He had once been the ruler of the heavens before being cast down by the younger gods, and now he resided in the underworld, bitter and resentful of those who basked in the light. Unlike Helios, Ophion had always lived in the shadows, his body coiled in endless caverns where no sunlight could reach. His kingdom was one of darkness, filled with secrets and ancient knowledge. But despite his power, Ophion was lonely. He had seen all, and yet he had never loved. One fateful night, as he roamed the forests near Elara's village in his serpent form, Ophion saw her. Her laughter echoed through the trees as she wandered alone, her golden hair glowing in the moonlight. In that moment, something stirred within Ophion, a hunger, not for power or dominion, but for her. Ophion knew that Elara was no ordinary mortal. She was favored by Helios, and the thought filled him with rage. Yet, beneath that rage was desire. He wanted her for himself, not just to spite Helios, but because she awakened in him a longing he had not felt in millennia. Ophion, being a god of immense power, did not hesitate to act on his desires. One night, while Elara wandered the darkened forest, the serpent god approached her. He appeared first as a whisper in the trees, a rustle in the leaves. Then, from the shadows, his form emerged, a massive serpent, with scales blacker than the night sky and eyes that gleamed with a cold silver light. Elara gasped, stepping back in fear. Ophion's presence was overwhelming, a force of nature as ancient as the earth itself. His voice slithered through the air, soft and alluring. "Do not fear me, mortal," Ophion said, his words like silk. "I have watched you as Helios has, but unlike him, I offer you more than fleeting warmth. I offer you eternity." Elara trembled, her heart racing. She did not understand how or why, but she felt drawn to Ophion in a way she could not explain. His darkness was seductive, his power immense, and his offer, immortality, was a temptation she had never imagined. Elara was now torn between two gods, one who offered her the warmth of the sun and the love of a divine being, and the other who promised eternal life and power in the underworld. Helios had always been kind and gentle, his love a source of joy and light in her life. But Ophion's allure was different, darker, more dangerous. He offered her something Helios could not: immortality and the chance to rule beside him. Days turned into weeks, and Elara found herself increasingly drawn to Ophion. His visits became more frequent, his presence in her dreams more vivid, and though she loved Helios, she could not deny the power of the serpent god's offer. Ophion whispered of a life beyond death, a life where she would never grow old, never fade away. Helios, sensing the growing connection between Elara and Ophion, grew anxious. He could not bear the thought of losing her to the darkness. But as a god of light, he was powerless in the underworld. His love for her was pure, but he knew that Ophion's offer would be difficult for her to resist. Elara, burdened by her impossible choice, sought counsel from the oracle, a seer known to commune with the gods. The oracle, an ancient woman with eyes clouded by the weight of visions, told her of a terrible fate. "If you choose Helios," the oracle said, her voice raspy, "you will live a mortal life, fleeting and brief. You will love him, but your time together will be short, for mortal hearts cannot withstand the power of a god's love for long." "And if I choose Ophion?" Elara asked, her voice trembling. The oracle hesitated, her face grim. "If you choose Ophion, you will be granted immortality, but it will come at a great cost. You will rule beside him in the darkness, far from the warmth of the sun, and your heart will grow as cold as his." Elara was devastated. No matter which path she chose, she would lose something dear to her, either her mortal life or her heart. Helios, unable to bear the thought of losing Elara, issued a challenge to Ophion. The two gods would battle for her hand, and the victor would decide her fate. The gods of Olympus decreed that the trial would take place on the highest mountain, where both the light of the heavens and the shadows of the underworld met. The sky darkened as the two gods prepared for battle. Helios, radiant and blazing, wielded the power of the sun itself, while Ophion, in his serpent form, coiled around the mountain, his scales shimmering with dark energy. Elara, watching from the base of the mountain, could hardly breathe. She knew that no matter who won, her fate would be sealed. The battle was fierce, shaking the earth and splitting the sky. Helios unleashed beams of light that scorched the ground, while Ophion struck with venomous speed, his coils wrapping around the sun god in an attempt to suffocate him. As the gods clashed, Elara could not stand idly by. In a moment of desperation, she ran toward them, pleading for them to stop. But in the chaos, Ophion's tail struck her, and she fell to the ground, her body limp and lifeless. Both gods froze. The woman they had fought for was now gone, her mortal body unable to withstand the divine forces that had surrounded her. Helios, heartbroken, gathered Elara's lifeless body in his arms and carried her to the heavens. There, he placed her among the stars, creating a constellation in her likeness so that she would forever be remembered. Her image, shining brightly in the night sky, was his eternal tribute to the love they had shared. Ophion, consumed by guilt and sorrow, retreated into the depths of the earth, vowing never to emerge again. His heart, once filled with desire, now carried the weight of loss and regret. To this day, the constellation of Elara shines brightest in the night sky, a symbol of the love that tore apart the heavens and the underworld. The tale of the serpent, the mortal, and the sun is told to warn of the dangers of desire when it spans the realms of gods, and of the price mortals pay when caught in divine battles. In the end, neither god won Elara's heart. Instead, her legacy became a cautionary tale, a reminder that even gods are powerless in the face of love's tragic fate.